Hi, Diana. Okay, I've got your derivatives here that you sent me, and I've got three of them on this video, and I will make a separate video for the other three just to keep it short, okay? So when you're differentiating a function like this is a quotient because we're dividing one sort of polynomial by another. And so your quotient rule for derivatives is we usually call this the easiest way to do it is to call the function on top u and the function on the bottom v. So y prime is u prime times v minus v prime times u over v squared. Sometimes teachers will teach this as f of x and g of x instead, but I like the u and v, it makes it simpler. So finding our derivative, y prime, we're going to take the derivative of the top, so we'll get 10x to the 4 and minus 12x cubed, and the derivative of 6 is 0. And we're going to multiply that by x squared. And now we're going to go minus the derivative of the bottom, which is 2x, and we're going to multiply that by the top, 2x to the 5, 3x to the 4, plus 6. Okay. So now all we have to do is simplify. And in this case, it means that we need to distribute this x squared into this bracket and the 2x into this bracket to see what we have here. And so we have 10x to the 6th minus 12x to the 5 minus 4x to the 6th plus 6x to the 5 and then minus 12x. And so cleaning this up, if we got like terms together, we have 6x to the 6 and negative 6x to the 5 minus 12x, and that should be our derivative. One thing I wanted to mention before I forget is that there's some great websites out there. One of them that I use a lot is this one. It's called symbolab.com. If you type in a function that you're trying to find the derivative of, just make sure that you use your brackets around the top and the bottom. It will give you all the steps as well, so it will kind of teach you how to do derivatives if you're stuck on one. It will also integrate and solve equations for you as well. So here's our second function that you needed to differentiate. And with this one, we're going to use the power rule. And it's the fractions that are going to be problematic. So we need to multiply this 1/4 by the coefficient, so we get negative 4x, and then we need to subtract 1 from 1/4. So if I write 1 as 4 over 4, then I can work with the fractions and get negative 3 over 4, so that's our new exponent. And in the next case, I need to multiply negative 3/8 by 8, and that's just negative 3, and then x, and then I have negative 3 over 8, and I'm going to subtract 1 from it, so let's write it as 8 over 8, and that's negative 11 over 8. There is a button on your calculator, the A, B/C button, and it will let you put fractions in, and it will do all this for you. So you, if you're not already familiar with that button, you might want to give that a try with some of these exponents. And so we have this to the negative 11 over 8. Okay, so there's not going to be much we can do to simplify here. Sometimes what you can do is you can factor out the lowest exponent. In this case, the lowest exponent is negative 3/4, and so we could write that as a common factor, x to the negative 3/4, and we would have negative 4 in this case, and then negative 3x, and we would have to divide negative 3/4 out of 11 over 8, which really means that we are multiplying by 4/3. And so that would give us negative 11 over 6 for that exponent. I'm not sure if you have to go that far or not for your econ, but that would be sort of the final simplified answer. Okay, so the last one for this video, they're asking you to use the definition of the derivative. The definition of the derivative is that f of h plus, or x plus h minus f of x over h thing, and it's a limit as h approaches 0. So really what we're doing here is we're finding slope. We're finding slope where, if you remember back from high school, we did y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and that gave us the slope for any line. So we need our y2 and y1 and x1 and x2 and so on, and so if we fill those in, it makes it easier for you to understand this definition and how it works. x1 is just x. x2 is a little bit more than x, and that's why we write it as x plus h. Now, y1 is going to be minus 2x plus 8, because that's the definition that they gave us. That's the equation. And y2, I don't know if I can squeeze it in here, is going to be minus 2 times x plus h, because we have to put x2 in there, plus 8. So if we rearrange that a little bit, we get negative 2x minus 2h plus 8. And now we're ready to find the slope by taking f of x plus h, which is y2, so it's this expression that we just found, minus y1, which is this, over h. And the h just comes from here. x2 minus x1 is just h, right? Because the x's cross off. So as we work through this, we have to first expand the bracket because we have a negative in front, so that's going to change our signs. And you will always find that the constants will subtract out. And so what we have left here, I'm just going to write beside it so that I can save room on my screen. We have positive 2x minus 2h over h, okay? Now we can't make the limit equal to 0. We can't make h equal to 0 just yet. Because if we did, we would have a 0 in our denominator, and that would be an undefined value. Sorry, I just realized I made a mistake here. You probably saw that and wondered what I was doing. I shouldn't have 4x here. Oh, it won't let me write over top of it now. I'm going to change colors so you can see this. Okay, that should be a 2x. And those should have crossed out. That was a 0x, so I just have minus 2h over h. Sorry about that. The reason I knew I had made a mistake, sorry, and it's early in the morning when I'm doing this, so my apologies, is that the next step has to be factoring out an h in the top that will cancel off with an h in the bottom. And so when I saw that I couldn't factor an h out of this term, I knew that I had made a mistake. 2x plus 2x should equal 0, right? And so if I cross off my h's here, I get minus 2, and that is the derivative of y equals negative 2x plus 8. It's the slope, right? That's what the derivative is. So it's the m from the y equals mx plus b equation, and it's also the derivative. If you were using the power rule, you would just take negative 2 times x to the 0 there. So I will make you a different video for the other three. It might be a little bit later on today, but please in the meantime have a look at Symbol Lab as well, and it will give you all the steps as well and get you going on those.